Well, good morning. Welcome to the Alpine Church of Spiritual Living. I'm going to be reading the thought for the week, and those in the room can join me as I get down at the bottom in the last paragraph. I'm not exactly sure why Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, called our form of affirmative prayer treatment, but he did. Just like he called prayer partners practitioners. Treatment and practitioners sound more clinical and perhaps scientific, which goes along with the name religious science. No matter the reason, we treat for ourselves or others from the standpoint of oneness or wholeness, from the recognition that God, love, is all there is, and therefore each of us is God in expression. From that basic premise, we proceed to speak our word or claim what it is we wish to experience. The fourth step in treatment is thanksgiving for knowing our word has been received by the law and is right now established in mind. The fifth and final step is to release or let go of any question or concern. To know and have absolute faith our good is now coming to us in right and perfect timing. And to also accept that it might come wrapped in a different package than what our finite mind may have conceived. So one of the expressions we use in religious science, also known as New Thought, is to treat and move your feet. That means we recognize our wholesome desires, enhance our lives and others' lives. But we don't just sit in a lotus position humming a chant, waiting for our good to drop from the sky. We move. We ask for guidance. We listen to the promptings of our still small voice, our intuition, and then do something toward that end. Holmes and others have said, God can only do for us what he or it can do through us. We are the vehicle or avenue through which good works are realized. So the next time you have a desire, and you know I'm talking about a desire which literally means from the Father, a wholesome desire, go within and recognize your oneness with the One. Speak your word in the affirmative present that this is now fulfilled in right and perfect order and timing. Give thanks it is done and release it. Finish with amen or and it is so or and it is. So say with me, I treat or pray knowing my word has power and I am divinely guided to do my part to fulfill the accomplishment of my desire. I am grateful, joyous, and free. It is so. So I have a question for you. You don't have to answer it, but I just want you to answer in your own mind. How many of you, when you got up this morning, said a prayer? How many of you do this on a routine basis? Every morning, you find yourself in that position of settling in to your awareness, to the oneness of the One. I have to say that I think this is so important because we are spiritual beings. And for us to be fed internally, our spirit needs to have that connection daily with the divine. And to me, the best thing about doing it is first thing in the morning so that you can be anchored and grounded and centered as the day starts to proceed. Because we'll be distracted, we'll get into all sorts of different thoughts and activities, and if we can just be grounded in the preparation for the coming day, knowing that this love is going to guide us through whatever it is happening to us, and it's happening for us, remember that always. So in September, we have been talking about going back to basics, about the teachings of science of mind. And today in particular, I wanted to highlight again the treatment or our affirmative prayer that we call treatment, the same thing. And as I said it in the thought for the week, it's a 5-step method. I really like this method because it gives me a structure in which to anchor my prayers on. And the first most important thing is to know that there is one power and presence, and it is everywhere present. That's the very first step. And if we can anchor in on that, knowing if that's all there is, then that includes me. So the second step is the unification, knowing that I am this expression of the divine, me individually, everyone individually is that perfect divine expression of the one. And then we have the opportunity to state our desire, to state what it is we wish to experience in that third step. To state that, yes, this end, we'll just say it for whatever it is. Put it out there. Know that it is happening. Because we always make it in the present moment. Because that's all there is. And then we are so grateful, so thankful, that's our fourth step, that it is happening now. And that final step is the one of release, of letting go, of just knowing that we've placed this order to the cosmic kitchen, so to speak, in mind, and that it will reflect in perfect order and timing. And again, as I put in the thought for the week, it may not come out exactly as we had placed it, but we want to make sure that we're open and receptive to that spirit giving us it perhaps in a different way, in a better way, usually. And so that's really what we call treatment. That's how we do our affirmative prayers in our Science of Mind. This is a way that we can anchor ourselves, not just in the first thing in the morning, but literally throughout the day, to become aware consciously that this love is living through me, and to give it room to grow and to be different, and to allow listening to that still small voice, and then following through with doing something. When we place ourselves in that center core of love, we cannot help but become grateful, to have an attitude of gratitude for what life is. And that way we can let spirit move through us. I've been talking a lot this last month and months before that about letting go, about surrender. We've had that theme for different months. We've got books that we've been reading about surrender, letting go. And how do you feel about letting go, living in the moment, on one hand, and then on the other hand, claiming our good, speaking our word for what it is that we want to have in our life, our desire, that third step of treatment? How can you marry the two of those things by saying, this is what I want to experience, and oh, by the way, I'm just going to let go and let everything just come to me as it is? It doesn't seem congruent, does it, in a way? But I have to assert that it is. That as we get into this mode of knowing, of recognizing that love is all there is, that then we can place our order in the cosmic kitchen, we can state our claim as to what it is we want to have, and then we can have that wiggle room, so to speak, for the divine to work through us, to work with us, to give us whatever it is we have need of right here and right now. I'm going to read something, and where is it? Oh, yes. This last week, one of my things I read every day is Richard Rohr's Yes and. And I thought this was such a great copulation. It's a great analysis of what we can do. The Supreme Art of Letting Go is the title of it. And I made some copies, by the way, if you'd like to take one of these home and work with it, because I think that that it's helpful to remind yourself of this, like, daily. So what does letting go on the practical level tell you? Letting go is different than denying or repressing. To let go of something is to admit it. You have to own it. Letting go is different from turning it against yourself, different than projecting it onto others. Remember that. That's very important. Letting go means that the denied, repressed, rejected parts of yourself, which are nonetheless true, are seen for what they are, but you refuse to turn them against yourself or against others. This is not denial or pretense, but actual transformation. I'm going to take a little break right here in this reading because I'm starting a new book with Martha Creek, and it's called No Bad Parts, where we talk to these parts within us that we have been conditioned by when we were young, and we have this conditioning that will have a knee-jerk reaction to something, and we wonder, how did that happen? Those are the parts of us that are subconscious. And this whole technique that we have in this book that we're just starting to read, No Bad Parts, is to have a conversation with them, to bring them up so that they can come forth, because every part of us, remember, is trying to protect us, is trying to give us some sort of service in some way. And so what he's talking about here is really hitting home for me, because we have these unknown feelings, expectations within us that seem to drive us. And when we can recognize them, it's healed to be revealed. It's revealed to be healed, so that we can bring it forth. So that is the transformation, is to recognize, I goofed. I want to do it different next time. So going on with Richard Rohr, the religious word for this letting go is some form of forgiveness. You see the imperfect moment for what it is, and you just hand it over to God. You refuse to let any negative storyline or self-serving agenda define your life. This is a very, very different way of living. It implies that you see your mistakes, your shadow side, but you do not identify with either your superiority or your inferiority. Both are equally a problem. Forgiveness is one piece. Those who give it can also receive it. Those who receive forgiveness can pass it on. You are a conduit, and your only job is not to stop the flow. What comes around will go around. The art of letting go is really the secret of happiness and freedom. How important is that? To recognize that every moment is a new baby fresh moment. And if I have a recognition of something that comes up, that boils up from the past, that I can observe it, I can acknowledge it, and that I can move on from it. That is what we call living in the now. Living in this beautiful, pristine now of life. That every moment is such a blessing. Rather than playing the old tapes over and over again, we have the opportunity to let them bubble up and release them. Forgive. Forgiveness means initially for ourselves, to forgive ourselves, and then we can forgive others. And to realize that where we're at right now, there is only love. And this love is wanting us to express ourselves at a deeper level than we ever have before. I believe life is an evolutionary process, that we can learn from our mistakes and therefore not repeat them. How many times did Jesus say that we are to, faith without works is dead. Blessed are you if you know these things, but more blessed are you if you do them. The teachings that Jesus taught us was to live in the present and do something about our lives. I mean, to me, that's why we have this earth suit, this body on this plane, so that we can physically be of service to this divine being that we are, and to let it lead and guide us. But we have to tap in. We have to check in. We have to ask, what is it for my benefit and for the benefit of others that I need to do right now? And first and foremost, you have to go back and back and back to remember that there is one. There is one power and presence that is expressing itself through this myriad of variety of life. Variety is the spice of life, we say. And we are all just these beautiful individual expressions of this love. So what did Jesus teach? How did he teach? What did he tell us to do? Did he tell us to go to church every Sunday? Not really, did he? No. What did he do? Through his actions, through his deeds, what did he teach us? He healed the sick. He fed the hungry. He was down in the trenches with those folks who needed help, who asked for help, who believed in help, who had the faith that life could be better for me. I mean, how many times did he scold, all the priests, the people that were, supposedly in charge of their religion? That they, stood out in the sun and just, would do their prayers out in everyone. He said to do your prayers within your own heart. What else did he tell us to do? He told us to forgive 70 times 7. That is an endless amount. That's a symbol of an endless amount. And we have to start with ourselves. I know that a lot of us carry heavy loads within ourselves, internally, externally. There's lots going on. But we want to remember to forgive ourselves. Because if we can't do that, we can't forgive anyone else. But knowing these things is one thing, and doing them is another. I believe what Richard Rohr wrote is that when we live in this present moment, that's when we can experience happiness and we can experience freedom. Believe that life is for us, that it is this beautiful gift. That's why we call it the present. And to stay in this present moment. Today marks the 2nd anniversary of our son's passing. Burke passed on September 24th, 2 years ago. And where I'm coming from is that I know how blessed I was to be able to have him in my life for 39 years. So that's my choice, to look at this and know that he is absolutely in his right and perfect place, eternally, that we all are. And I give thanks for that. I appreciate that. To have the faith that we are supported daily, at every moment, is critical. I wanted to share with you one of Eileen Katie's readings, and it was actually from yesterday, and I think it fits so much today with our message today. It says, you cannot play a game of tennis just by standing there with a racket and ball in your hand. You have to raise the racket and hit the ball over the net. You have to take action. So with faith, you have to do something to prove to yourself that it works when you live by it. The more you try it and realize that it works, the more confident you become, until you are willing to take any step in faith without hesitation, because you know we are taking it together. And anything is possible when you are willing to do so. You have to have faith in your ability to swim before you jump into deep water with complete confidence. Otherwise, you will drown. You have to have faith in the ability to live by faith before you can do it. Faith begets faith. How can you tell whether you can trust me unless you try it and see if it is so? That's a channeled work that came through her, that those are words from God. That we need to trust God is right here, always wanting to give us the very best possible. So what is that something that we need to do? We need to forgive. We need to let go. We need to release the past. Yes, get the message from it. Get the benefit from it. Learn from the mistake. Get that lesson. And then move on. We need to remember to let go. Let go of anything that holds us back. That we are infinite beings. We need to remember to listen. Ask, listen attentively for this still small voice within us. We need to involve ourselves in reaching out to others with compassion, with help, givingness. We need to learn to give of our time, our talent, our treasure in appropriate and beautiful ways that only can be spurred from listening to that still small voice. And we need to learn that there is something new going on in life for me every day. And that I am here to release the past. I am here having an opportunity to grow. That this infinite being that is living my life wants to reveal more and more and more of itself through me. So we have the opportunity to speak our word with clarity, to literally say, this is what my desire is. This or something more, something better, that God has in mind, that love has in mind, that peace and truth have in mind for me. Let me be open to this or something better. Let me be open to having the faith that this being that is residing in me has my back, has my front, has my side, that it is living through me in a most glorious way. To be thankful, to treat and move my feet, to do my part, to take my action. That's what I am here on this earth plane to do. Namaste.